with us this evening, not only here, but in different parts of the country. And we have our IT department helping out with the technology. I'm their assistant, so I'm going to already apologize for that. But we're really looking forward to this evening. Most important is that we have members of Shaker Select who'll be performing for you. And we have our two outstanding student government co-chairs, Sophie Dvorak and Shannon Lipscomb, who are going to be our masters of ceremony for this evening. So again, thank you all for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to them.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Shaker High School 2021 Alumni Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We're so glad that you could join us here in person and online, and we're so grateful to be able to honor you tonight. My name is Shannon Lipscomb.
And my name is Sophie Dvorak. And like Mr. Murphy said, Shannon and I serve as senior co-chairs of Shaker Student Government. We are so honored to be here tonight to recognize some of Shaker's outstanding alumni. And we hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Up next, we have Mr. D. Joseph Kaur.
Thank you, everyone, for coming together. This is one of my favorite evenings, and it's an evening where we get to celebrate the accomplishments of our alumni. And these accomplishments are indeed vast. You will hear tonight the individual stories of Kimberly, Christian, Sophia, Elizabeth, and Joseph, and Daniel. And these are stories that are spread far and wide, not only in geography, but in terms of what these individuals have done. They have one common thread, and that common thread is service and giving of themselves, their gifts to others, and seeing in their work something bigger and striving for that greater purpose and that greater meaning. And I think that is what makes this class of individuals a special class. They have given of their talents, they have developed their talents, and we believe that those talents were initially nurtured here in the North Colony Central School System, and certainly refined at Shaker High School, and developed through a lifelong commitment to their community, to their region, and to their country. So we are very, very happy and grateful to be here this evening to celebrate our 2020 and 2021 Alumni Hall of Fame inductees. And I am eagerly awaiting to tell my story and eager to share all the stories of our inductees with you. So welcome to this wonderful event.
Thank you, Mr. Kaur. And now we will hear from the Shaker High School principal, Mr. Richard Murphy.
Thank you, Sophie. And it's really a pleasure. The Hall of Fame has been something near and dear to our heart that we created back when we celebrated our 60th anniversary. And it really is just wonderful to have these fine alum come forward. And it really hit home to me tonight because this is the first year that two of my former students have been named to the Hall of Fame. They were talking about their days at Shaker, and they talked about it being a long time ago. Doesn't seem that long ago to me, but I guess that's what age will do to you. But it's such a pleasure, and we're taping tonight because not only do we want to celebrate you for the evening, but we want to celebrate you going forward in perpetuity not only with a plaque, but with your words. And so the last few years, we've been videotaping this ceremony, and we're going to be using it for our Hall of Fame permanent display that will be developed one of these days when we've had a chance to really put it all together. But for tonight, we just thank you. We thank you for being with us both here in person, through Zoom. And I just want to also say that one thing I notice about all of these 7 nominees is that they have one thing in common. Obviously, they were members of the school. They received a similar education, no matter how many years ago it was, yet their lives took them to great heights in different places as they excelled in their chosen fields. No matter their education and career accomplishments, each of these 7 honorees displayed a social conscience as well, supporting others in their communities and the world around them. Even more impressive has been their commitment to help their fellow men and women by sharing their skills and talents in those chosen fields. They serve for our current and future students as an example of what one can attain in life following their departure from Shaker High School. Today, we're going to hear more about our inductees' stories, and we will realize the potential these outstanding individuals had as students. Shaker students now will understand better the unlimited opportunities each and every one of them have and can pursue within their own lives. I'm grateful to all of our recipients today for allowing us to honor them. By learning about them, Shaker High School students are reminded that greatness lies in each of them as well. Greatness is not measured in terms of possessions or popularity, but by what you do with your talents to make the world a better place. I want to take a moment to recognize the many individuals who have also made this night possible. You've met Sophie and Shannon, but I also want to thank all of the families and the nominators, because without you, we wouldn't be here today. I also want to thank our students from student government and Shaker Select who are supporting the induction as well. Also, special thanks to Chris Cressetti in communications for his work coordinating this event and the selection process for the Shaker High School Hall of Fame, as well as Ryan Moore, who is helping us out tonight with the technology. I also want to recognize all of the members of our committee who helped choose these wonderful alumni. And lastly, but not least, my perpetual thanks to Mrs. Harrison, Ms. Skeels, and Mr. Core, our superintendent, for all of their support and for hosting us tonight. And congratulations to all of our recipients. Thank you.
Before we meet all of our inductees for 2020 and 2021, we are going to have a performance by Shaker Select. They will be singing Another Day of Sun from the movie La La Land, and it will be conducted by Miss Amy Kimbler.
You were wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Shaker Select and Mrs. Kimbler. We will now begin to induct our nominees. So first, we have Ms. Kimberly Field Marvin from the class of 1982. And Ms. Field Marvin unfortunately cannot be with us tonight, so it is my honor to induct her on her and her nominator's behalf. Ms. Field Martin is a lifelong educator and is currently the head of school at the Louise S. McGehee School in New Orleans, Louisiana. Prior to her work at the McGehee School, Ms. Field Marvin served as the Director of Communications and the Upper Middle School Divisional Head at the Marymount School of New York. Ms. Field Martin has presented at educational workshops across the country, focusing on independent schools, women's leadership, and adolescent girls. Ms. Field Martin is a graduate of Siena College and received master's degrees from Middlebury College and Castleton State College. She received her doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Pennsylvania in August 2016. It is our great honor to induct Ms. Kimberly Field Marvin into the Shaker High School Hall of Fame, and we congratulate her. Thank you very much.
All right, I think we're back. So our next inductee from the class of 2020 will be Dr. Christian Jackson. He is from the class of 1991, and he will be introduced by Mr. D. Joseph Poor.
It is a wonderful honor and an incredible privilege to speak on behalf of Christian Sterling Jackson, class of 1991, a former student and a person I consider a great friend. Dr. Jackson could be defined by an impressive resume, and yes, it is extremely impressive. Dr. Jackson graduated from Northwestern University in 1995 after coming out of Shaker in 1991. He had his BA in German Studies. But I think when you look at his academic course, you see a BA in German Studies, and you look at the next step and you understand that Christian Jackson is a Renaissance human being, because that BA in German Studies marked the beginning of the next step in his attendance at the University of Chicago Medical School, where he earned his medical degree in June of 1999. After proceeding through fellowship, through residencies in internal medicine, and prior to that, his internship in internal medicine, Christian selected as his field gastroenterology. He then moved to California, and he began the noble career path of working in the Veterans Administration Hospital out in Loma Linda, California. He also proceeded forward to sharing his remarkable commitment and knowledge to the field of medicine by starting as an assistant professor in the Department of Medicine at Loma Linda University, and subsequently has recently been promoted to the full professorship. So Christian is a brilliant combination of extensive and nationally established skill as a physician in his field, as a teacher and professor in medicine in his field of gastroenterology, and most importantly, in his compassion and his dedication to the service of others in the Veterans Administration. I'd like to share an email that Christian sent to me last July 14th. And I talked to him about the struggles of practicing medicine during the time of COVID-19. And he spoke of his commitment to the VA. He wrote, "Right now, the state is shutting down again. This is really a tough situation, and I'm not sure what is going to happen. But I think this captures who he is as a human being. I try my best to make sure the patients receive state-of-the-art care. My great uncle Bill, my mom's uncle, fought combat in World War II and in Korea and won the Bronze Star. He's buried in Arlington. He is one of the reasons why I work so hard to make sure that the patients are taken care of." So with Christian, you have a wonderful combination of compassion, brilliance, and an incredible breadth of knowledge in many fields. He is just a joy to be around as a human being. And I can remember on a June in 1989, opening up a Blue Regents book and seeing Christian's essay on, there was a question basically on development in underdeveloped regions of the world. Christian wrote an extensive essay replete with visuals and diagrams of how the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations transferred funds to areas in need and the like. I think it shows that, to me, that Christian was that big thinker, had that expansive mind, and was always marked by joy, by compassion, by caring for others, and translating that incredible ability of learning by giving to others through teaching, and by practicing medicine to its highest art and science. So, Christian, congratulations on being admitted to the Hall of Fame for the class of 2020. It is a privilege and an honor, and I am humbled to be here this evening to induct you into the Hall of Fame. Thank you, Christian. for all your service. Congratulations.
And now we have Dr. Christian Jackson to say a few words.
Mr. Kaur, that was a humbling and fantastic statement characterizing my career to date. I want to thank you and Mr. Murphy and the organizers for putting this event together. I also want to thank Mr. Legata, Mr. Pirog, Mrs. Harrison, of course, Mr. Kaur, Mr. Segas, and Mr. Webb, who recently passed. They played a very influential role in my development. And I can honestly say that the reason why I'm at the VA is that it was instilled in me then that you take care of the least, the last, the leftover, the forgotten, and veterans. The one thing I would like to leave, I don't want to take too much time, but with all of that being said, I've had a chance to reflect on why I've had the success I had and why I had the success at Shaker. And for me to truly experience and be successful, there had to be a bridge. And that bridge was my father, Dr. James O. Jackson, who at the time was the chairman of the science department. And I can honestly say, if he was not there to provide that bridge, I don't think I would have had that success, and I don't think I'd be with you today. And not only did he provide that bridge for me, but he provided that bridge for so many children and students. And that's why these children and students have had the success that they've had. He changed their lives. Emmett Tenbrook said, and Emmett Tenbrook was the former English supervisor, and he said, the most consequential person at Shaker High School the past 40 years has been your father. And I can honestly say that's true. And so in order for my success to have happened, he had to be there. And that's one of the reasons why his picture is in the library. And so going forward, I just want to say thank you to everybody within at Shaker High School in the North Colonies school system. And I also want to thank you for the beautiful opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you.
Our next inductee of the evening is Ms. Sophia Papulis, who will be introduced by Mrs. Deborah Keogh.
Sophia Papulis is Associate Conductor of the award-winning Young People's Chorus of New York City and Principal Conductor of their Prelude Division. Since 2007, she has conducted and prepared young people from ages 8 to 18 for performances, international tours, recording sessions, and radio and TV appearances. Sophia is the Associate Director of YPC National, which supports and inspires youth choruses and choral conductors nationwide. She also serves as the Creative Director for the Foundation for Small Voices, a not-for-profit organization that brings choral, songwriting, and mentorship programs to children around the world, including recent experiences in Spain and the UK. Sophia has conducted not only in New York City's most prestigious venues, but throughout North America, Asia, Europe, and South America. She is part of a dedicated team whose vision strives to lead young people to share music at the highest level of artistic excellence while immersing themselves in their surrounding cultures as musical ambassadors of peace and hope. 6 years ago, Sophia Papulis came home to serve as guest conductor for the Suburban Council Middle School Chorus. I share this because she shared with the young students at that festival her experiences as a young singer in North Colony schools, the full circle of returning to conduct the festival course that she had been in as a child, and how her music teachers had inspired and guided her. And literally last week, one of those students, Shaker senior Izzy Cowan, told me that she still remembered Sophia Papulis as the Suburban Council Chorus conductor, how amazing and how inspiring she had been. Sophia had seen leadership and potential in tiny little quiet Izzy, and prompted the quiet sixth grader at the time to lead a sectional of seventh and eighth graders. Now graduating and headed to Cornell, Izzy asked me to share her thanks and congratulations with the conductor who touched her life in a weekend. On behalf of all of your musical family in North Colony, Sophia, your former teachers, and those who will learn from you in the future, congratulations on behalf of all of us on this well-deserved honor.
Six years ago, I actually was also in that Suburban Council choir, and I can attest to Izzy's statement that it was an absolutely incredible experience. And now here is Ms. Papulis to say a few words.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Debbie, thank you so much for this nomination and for sharing that. And that's so overwhelming to hear. I'm so honored to be here tonight. I thank all of the organizers tonight, and sorry that I can't be there in person, but so grateful we have these ways to connect as well. And Christian, thank you for your inspiring words. I thank your father too. He was principal when I was at Shaker, and I can attest to all the lives he touched for years far longer than I even know. So thank you for that. Oh, and as an alum of Shaker Select, I'm so happy you're all here tonight too. The powers of Zoom, as we know, don't work with music, so it was hard to hear you, but it's so special that you're there. And thank you, and congratulations to all of you and to Ms. Kimbler as well. So I want to share with you a little bit about my journey, but I wanted to start by saying that I recently participated in an icebreaker a little bit before COVID, where we were all paired off, and the task was simply to ask your partner, who are you? And each time you had to respond with something different about yourself. Who are you? I am Sophia. Who are you? I am a musician. Who are you? I'm a parent. Who are you? I am an educator. I'm an artist. I'm a sister, a daughter, a friend, a traveler. I am. Our I ams begin when we're so small. And I think back to my elementary school days when Take Your Daughter to Work Day was still a thing. And I got to know more of the I ams that make up my mom and dad. My mom, a speech therapist in the Troy City School District, and my dad, a pediatrician. And I was so enthralled with their work with children. I'm still inspired by the memory of watching them work. And although they had two very different jobs, I remember thinking how amazing that my mom and my dad worked with children every single day. And they were both incredibly patient and funny and firm when necessary and joyful. And I remember feeling like, I bet these children love to spend time in a room with my parents, even in a doctor's office. And as a child myself, I found my own spaces to love, and my beloved space was music. That love began when I was just a child at Southgate Elementary School. Karen Amidio, who only recently retired from Shaker High School, was my very first music teacher. And singing and making music with my friends and with the most joyful music teacher ever was what I loved the most. And in a fast forward, my first day at Shaker High School, chorus was my first class before the clock struck 8 a.m. And I still can't believe I sang that early in the morning every day. But freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors all came together in that room. I still remember the first piece we sang to that day. Some of us were reading the piece for the first time, while others had known it from years past. And I remember being completely enthralled and entirely overwhelmed all at the same time. But I knew that in that room was going to be where I lived my days at Shaker. And it was all led by a man named Ned Fleischer, who passed nearly 10 years ago in late 2011. And because of Ned Fleischer and also because of our theater director, Philip Rice, I got to spend my high school years playing different characters on stage, literally playing pretend and singing, learning not only the mechanics of how to harmonize when we sang together, but also how to make it sound and feel amazing, learning the nuances of how one small line could move you to tears, and surrounded by others who loved it as much as I did. And I walked into that chorus room at Shaker every single day, just wanting to be there, just wanting to be around the people I loved, with the teachers who inspired me, doing the thing I loved most for as many hours of the day as possible. Creating music and theater was our job, and Ned Fleischer and Phil Rice led us to absolute excellence on that stage. But they also brought out the most human part of everyone. And I wanted to be part of that excellence and humanity through the arts for young people myself. So since 2007, I've been a conductor with a nonprofit organization called the Young People's Chorus of New York City, or YPC. And our mission at YPC is to provide children of all cultural and economic backgrounds with a unique program of music education and choral performance that seeks to fulfill each child's potential while creating a model of artistic excellence and diversity that enriches the community. And what led me to YPC was my love for making music and for the incredible community it can build, both among the singers and from performer to audience. Not only do I get to work with a diverse group of children from all over New York City, ages 7 to 18, creating art at the highest possible level at every age, but for the last nearly 15 years, I've gotten to be part of an organization that forges a path for social change. I spend my days listening. I listen to the voices singing in my rehearsals, and I also listen to the voices speaking in my rehearsals, listening to young voices sharing thoughts, hopes, dreams, reactions, questions, every day answering in their own ways the prompt, I am. At Shaker, and especially because of Ned Fleischer, I felt heard. I felt that my voice, my one little voice, mattered, whether it was part of the chorus or sharing my own thoughts. And I always wondered, how is that possible? If you knew him, you know he had so many young people talking to him all the time, as many teachers do. He listened to everybody. And every day I remind myself of that, because while I do teach music, more importantly, I teach human beings. Young human beings who have a whole world of ideas, they want to be heard. And I believe that we can make a difference in their lives, like the teachers at Shaker made a difference in my life by listening. I've accomplished many things in my career that I feel proud of from a musical and artistic perspective. And you heard that in my introduction. I've even found myself working with 2 other Shaker High alums, Kim Nazarian of the internationally acclaimed New York Voices, and David Lai, who is a Grammy Award-winning producer and Broadway conductor, both of whom have also been inducted into this Alumni Hall of Fame. And we share a very powerful thing in common, the time we spent in these Shaker halls, and most of all in that music wing and on the auditorium stage. But as I continue to navigate and I stand on stages and I make music with these young people, I'm constantly asking myself, what can I learn? And if I can learn every day from those around me, and especially from my students, and make them feel heard, that's really what I feel most proud of. And my desire for seeking that out began here at Shaker. Began with teachers who answered questions by challenging you to dig deeper, who pushed you to step up to the plate in ways they knew you could when you doubted yourself, who believed you could do it when you weren't sure you could. And that includes teachers I named today and teachers I didn't. They say that every season is the most formative one of your life. They say high school will be your most formative years. They say college will be your most formative years. They say your 20s will be your most formative years. And the truth is, I feel that we're forming every single day. And I hope to never stop forming. I hope every year is as formative as the last. And I hope that every day I'm making someone feel heard, just like I felt heard at Shaker. And I think that's the most incredible gift that we can give one another, to listen. And so, you know, as I share this day with you all, I want to say that there are so many things that I could say about Shaker and my time there and how much it changed my life. And I remember when I was a senior in high school after the spring musical, I was the one who presented a gift to Mr. Fleischer as our company gift. And I got to give a small speech about him. And of course, I stumbled and cried my way through it because I was a senior and it was our last show and it was devastating. And afterward, I went up to him and I said, I hadn't said nearly half the things I wished to say. And he just smiled and he said to me, we never do. So I leave you today just by saying I could never say all of the things that I would love to say about the school, about the people in it, about my time here. And I'm so proud to call it home. I hope you will just hold dear the same thing that you all taught me to hold dear, which is curiosity, creativity, willingness to listen, and just the desire to keep learning every single day. So I thank you all so much for this honor. Thanks so much.
Now we will start to introduce our class of 2021 Alumni Hall of Fame inductees. First, we will meet Miss Elizabeth Ubuna, class of 1998. She will be introduced by Mr. Ofu Takor.
Hi, everyone. I am not a Mr. My pronouns are she and her, but that's fine. My name is Ofu, and I will be introducing Elizabeth Ubuna today. So I hope everyone can hear me. So in 2018, I was a junior in undergrad, and I was scrolling down Instagram and noticed that Liz was starting a business on the west side of Chicago, where she was selling fresh fruits and vegetables. At first, I thought it was admirable, and I loved the idea of expanding food access in underserved communities. However, mostly I was 20 and I kind of wanted a free trip to Chicago, so I just went. But little did I know that she would have us going to the International Produce Market at 4 a.m. and doing pop-up markets until nearly midnight. I was able to see the literal blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this work. And I vowed to never come back to Chicago, but more importantly, to never work for her business again. Well, fast forward to today, and I've been living in Chicago for nearly a year and a half. And I'm currently the general manager and social media director for 40 Acres Fresh Market. Since Liz started her business in 2018, we have served over 2,000 Chicago households and have given away over $25,000 in fresh produce to people experiencing food insecurity. Since graduating from Shaker in 1998, Cornell in 2002, and Chicago Booth in 2014, Elizabeth Ubuna has worked for large corporations such as General Mills and Microsoft. And now she has paved her own path and has inspired me and many others to do the same. So congratulations, Liz.
I apologize for introducing you wrong. We're standing on the other side, so I couldn't see you. So thank you, Ms. Takor, for introducing Ms. Ubuna. Now, Ms. Elizabeth Ubuna will say a few words.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this evening. I have to admit, my brother knew that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame before I did. So when he told me, we both laughed hysterically because it felt very ironic considering that during my time in the North Colony School District, in elementary school, I spent a lot of time out in the hallway. In junior high, I spent a lot of time in Mr. Pratt's office, was suspended from Shaker High School twice during my time there, and spent a lot of time in Mrs. Rose and Mr. Saratella's office. So to turn around and make it into the Hall of Fame is, I guess I started from the bottom and now we're here. So I was shocked. I was definitely flattered and appreciative that someone in the North Colony ecosystem saw fit to nominate me for this honor. I have to admit that I had some mixed feelings about it because if you can tell from what I said previously, my time in North Colony was a mixed bag, not always an easy one. I often felt that I wasn't seen as I am at Shaker. I remember sometimes classmates would point to my hair and say, oh, your hair looks like pubes. Or when I got into Cornell, somebody, instead of saying congratulations, saying, I wish I had something I could mark down on my application to help me get in a little bit easier. So getting out of Shaker was probably one of my biggest accomplishments at 18, and also one of those feelings of just freedom. And for me, when I talk to my cousins and my best friends' daughters who look just like me and were graduating 10, 15, 20 years after me, and they tell similar stories, It kind of breaks my heart a little bit that the same experiences I had were still enduring there. But it is my hope that in accepting this award tonight, that others who are at Shaker who kind of felt the same way that I did can look at someone that looks like them and say, oh, wow, there's like this whole big life outside of this school. And one thing I can say is that I made some great friends at Shaker, and I got a world-class education at Shaker. And that education is created a foundation that led me to Cornell, which led me to General Mills, which led me to University of Chicago and Microsoft, and eventually starting my own business. And I don't think that that path would have started if, you know, my parents at 6 years old didn't make Bout Hills Elementary School test me for the LEP program, which then led to, you know, earth science in 8th grade and honors and AP classes throughout high school. Thank you, Mrs. Harrison's AP US history class. It's something I still refer to this day. But that foundation can lead you to so many bigger things. And that one thing I will say that I didn't find until I was older was that ability to constructively push back when told no, or when told that things are the way they are. 40 Acres got started because I saw a neighborhood of tens of thousands, almost 100,000 people that didn't have proper food access. And if I had listened to people who told me that this is just the way the market is, that this is just a natural occurrence, and some neighborhoods just can't support grocery stores or support food access, and basically telling me that if, you know, old guys in corporate can't figure it out, what makes you think you can? Well, I'm here to tell you, you should always say, why can't I? Always ask why when you see a problem that you think needs to be solved, and don't be satisfied with the first answer. Don't be satisfied when somebody tells you that it's already been figured out. And don't wait until you're in your 30s to start challenging and pushing back and creating the world that you want to see, whether that's in your high school, whether that's in your town, or beyond. So thank you for recognizing me, Shaker High. Thank you for giving me a platform for a few minutes. And my hope is that if, you know, I'm attending this for somebody else in another 20 years, that they can say that they were able to push through and had a wildly different experience at Shaker because they decided that it was okay to be a disruptor. So thanks.
Our next inductee of the night is Ms. Elizabeth Lee, who graduated in the class of 2014. Ms. Lee will be introduced by Ms. Trish Fecco.
Good evening. It is my distinct pleasure to announce Elizabeth Lee. Elizabeth is a Shaker grad of 2014. She then went on to get her degree in English with a concentration in creative writing at Barnard College in 2018, which was her mother's alma mater. I've been lucky to be neighbors with the Lee family. We grew up with them. My 3 young kids swim in their pool. We spent many times having dinner and watching Yankee games with her father, who was the biggest Yankee fan I know. My son became a 7th grader, and the most daunting thing is to get on the high school bus when you're a 7th grader. And Liz would be in the back, and Aiden thought he was all that in a bag of donuts as he walked to the back of the bus and sat with the juniors and the seniors. So she took him under his wing. She was a member of Shaker Select. She did theater. She was always telling my kids how you have to go on the AP track and take all these classes. And she became our babysitter. And she never stopped. She strove at everything she did. Actually, it's nice to have someone who's a creative writer because my kids all are applying to college. So it's nice to have that phone a friend and have Elizabeth on the other end. We're very lucky. If any of you know the Lee family, they are extremely high achievers. They are very humble and unassuming. Last January, I get a text from Josephine, Liz's mom, saying, hey, we'd love for you and the family to join if you're free. And then I look at the link and it says in big black letters, virtual book release by E.L. Shen. I said, who the heck is E.L. Shen? What is she sending me? And I'm like, oh, I better look. So I click it on and there's a beautiful picture of Elizabeth. And then this book is next to her. Well, I'm not a writer. I'm in medicine. And I say, well, what the heck does Liz have to do with this book? Well, Liz is E.L. Shen. So I was all of a sudden animated and screaming and histrionic and calling like, oh my God, someone who's famous. And, they downplay everything. A couple of weeks later, then I get on the Zoom. And the most amazing thing about this virtual book release is on the Zoom, she had collaborated with a 1980 Cheryl Franks, one of the Olympic pairs figure skaters. She's on the Zoom. There are people on the Zoom from all walks of Elizabeth's life, from when she was little to now, and college friends and family. And my kids were with me, and there were Shaker high school students on that, high school teachers on the Zoom, and the junior high teachers, and Blue Creek teachers, and Miss Lepore, her Blue Creek librarian. All these people who I know were so proud of who she's become, because, you guys all have a part in that. And I know they were all just as proud as I was. A couple of weeks later, I get an email that asks for nominations for Shaker Hall of Fame. And I thought, you know what, if anyone deserves it, Liz does. Liz, her pen name is E.L. Shen. This is her debut middle grade novel, The Comeback. It received, and I don't want to misquote, 2 starred reviews and was praised for its, quote, fast-paced prose, big emotions, and authentic dialogue in the New York Times. She's also the editor of Dear Librarian, written by Lydia Sigworth and illustrated by Romania Galata. I appreciate the committee and everyone who took the nomination seriously and gave us this nomination. I appreciate you recognizing her for all her literary works. This is just the beginning, and I assure you that she will continue to make Shaker very, very proud. I'm so proud of you and so glad to be honoring you tonight. I'd like to announce Elizabeth Lee, the most intelligent, beautiful, kind, talented Shaker alum I know.
And now Ms. Lee may say a few words.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, sorry, I'm so short. Okay, can everyone hear me? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Pecco, for that beautiful speech and for this honor. And thank you everyone for putting this together. It feels really like yesterday that I was here, even though it was 2014. As Dr. Pecco said, I remember singing in Shaker Select with Mrs. Emilio and climbing these actual ladders in this gym in Project Adventure. So I have a lot of really wonderful memories here. And the foundation of my writing and editorial career really began at North Colony. I remember my Blue Creek librarian, Mrs. Lepore. I would send her all these types of stories, all these beginnings, not really endings, all the ripoffs of Harry Potter, and she would really read them and accept them with open arms. And she gave me the encouragement and the power to continue writing, especially as a young budding 10-year-old. And then later, my teachers in middle school and high school at Shaker gave me the tools to think beyond the typical academic essay writing. I remember in 9th grade, we had to write where we wanted to be in 10 years. So I was 15 at the time and I'm 25 now, so it's 10 years later. And I had written that I wanted to write books for kids and young adults about taboo topics and books that had really like strong emotional centers. It was a very specific goal, and I can't believe that I wrote that then. I don't even remember doing that. But it was really my teachers who helped me get there and helped me achieve that goal. I remember in 11th grade, we had to choose an author to do a giant presentation for the school year. And one of my teachers, Miss Matros, introduced me to Michael Cunningham, who I had no idea like even wrote books at the time, because I was reading so many classics. And he was this modern writer who was so experimental and used like old writers like Virginia Woolf to, reinvent what literature was. And she really helped me get into him. And I read like 6 to 8 of his books, which I think is actually his entire collection of works. And she helped me give me the tools to write beyond what I thought like the Scarlet Letter was. She helped me really write experimentally. And I recall that now, and I still have his signed book in my bookcase. And I also joined the inaugural writing consultation class, where I learned how to edit other students' work. And that's so different than just sitting there and like scribbling on, your friends' papers. We had to really sit down with a student and talk about, okay, how am I going to present constructive feedback? And how is that going to be useful to the student moving forward? And that's exactly what I do in my editorial career now, just with authors. I sit and I'm like, how are my thoughts going to be useful to them in a way that's not demeaning, in a way that is helpful for them to move forward? And so I really learned that foundation here. So really, Shaker gave me so many tools and the foundation and the foundation for craft that I use now to write my books and hopefully future books and to edit my novels. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate this honor.
And I just wanted to present you with your plaque to recognize you as one of our new members of the Alumni Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Our next inductee is Joseph Milo Jr., and he is from the class of 1972, and I will be introducing him. Joe Millot is the president and co-founder of Protective Industrial Products Incorporated, PIP. PIP is the leading North American provider of personal protective equipment, such as work gloves, safety eyewear, head protection, and protective clothing to industry and retailers. PIP is headquartered in Latham, New York, and the company has operations in Guilderland, New York, Minnesota, North Carolina, Colorado, California, and Mississippi, as well as overseas operations in Mexico, Canada, France, Hong Kong, Thailand, Ireland, and China. Joe's career began as an accountant after graduating from Franklin Marshall College in 1976. He obtained his CPA license and at age 28 became the controller of an Albany-based public company, Amadak Industries Incorporated, which owned Century Glove and the Miller Shoe Company. In 1979, Joe married Colleen Bridget Grady, Shaker class of 1974. Joe and Colleen moved to Cincinnati when Amadak consolidated operations there and soon was named the Chief Operating Officer of Century Glove. After a change in ownership of Century Glove, Joe and Wilson Tao, a Hong Kong resident, joined together in 1984 to form PIP in Albany. The company started very slowly with only a $2,000 initial investment. Today, PIP has annual revenue of over $700 million, employs over 1,400 people globally, and services over 9 during the recent pandemic. Joe and Colleen reside in Latham. Joe's son, Joe III, and daughter Bridget both work at PIP in key managerial positions. PIP began as a unique 2-family business with 1 family on each side of the world and has become a leader in its industry. And now here is Mr. Joseph Mott Jr. to say a few words.
Thank you very much for that introduction. It's been a wonderful evening already. I am just amazingly humbled and in awe of the other participants and recipients of this award. I'm sure in years past, it's been equally as overwhelming as the quality and the people that receive these awards. And I thank you for allowing me to participate in this. Obviously, I'm a slow starter. Graduated in '72, and it took me a while to get here, but I thankfully made it, and I'm very appreciative of this award and this honor. I do just want to say a couple things, and it's really about just having the fortunate situation to be in North Colony, and I think it's interesting from all our backgrounds of where we come from. The real key ingredient that is common to us all is residing in North Colony and having that ability to go to North Colony schools. I know when people sometimes say, "Joe, you've been lucky in life," and I said, "Yes, I was born lucky, actually," and I really mean that, and I say that because my parents moved up from North Albany, and they bought a small house on Buckman Drive, which is just on the border of North Colony, 100 yards south of where I live. I would have been in an entirely different school district, an entirely different environment growing up. I was blessed to live in that area and then be able to go to Loudonville School and go all the way through the North Colony district system. During that time, I can't count all the wonderful teachers, coaches, administrators that touched my life, all with just really the same common theme of helping me to be the best I possibly could. And that just carried through my life, and who I am today is I believe that's what our destiny is, to be all that we can be, and it's a sin not to be. So it's about working hard and trying your best every day and to be all that you can be. And secondarily, I'd say, or maybe even primarily, is that I was taught to do the right thing whenever we had those options. When I made those bad mistakes, it's I think some of you were talking about as well, being in the hallways or being suspended or whatever, being a disruptor. I was coached back into doing the right thing and for the right reasons. And that I, kept on the right path, I think, during my life. But when I had the opportunity, forced to make a choice about doing the right thing or taking the easy path, I ended up, trying to do the right thing by some people that were not as fortunate and less understanding of the situation. So I ended up getting fired from my job. I had a great career going, and I got fired. And actually, that led to the opportunity that allowed me to form a partnership with a person who was on the other side of the world and be part of his family, and he to be part of my family over a very long period of time. It still continues and endures with a great relationship in both families. During that time, I was again very fortunate and blessed to be able to be in China before it opened up, before there were cars and automobiles. There were just a few taxis. Everybody was still on bicycles back then. We were the first to bring the apparel trade to Bangladesh. We were first to bring leather gloves manufacturing to India and Calcutta. I've been all over the world in all types of environments, and it has just been very uplifting to be able to say that not only do we have 1,400 employees, but we've touched the lives of hundreds of thousands of people around the world to help their lives better and for them to grow and have opportunity to become all that they can be as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody in the North Colony School District, all the wonderful teachers and coaches. Mr. Jackson was a teacher back when I was back there in school, And, there was just brought back a lot of great memories, Christian, when you were talking about him as well. But there's so many people that I could just say thank you to that really made me who I am today. And, so fortunate to be able to go to school in North Colony and take advantage of all the opportunities that it created. It does, leave me with, one, saying that I always like to point out that, that education should be more fair to everybody. And that is the great provider in life for everyone to be able to create opportunities for themselves and their family. And I just hope we, over time, we as a country can do better in creating a more fair environment for educational opportunities for everybody. So thank you very much. I won't get on the platform for much longer, but thank you. It was a pleasure, and I truly see this as a wonderful honor. Thank you.
Our final inductee of this evening is Mr. Daniel Wargo, who graduated in the class of 2011. Mr. Wargo attended Hudson Valley Community College through 2013 before enlisting in the United States Marine Corps. He currently serves as the Veterans Resource and Outreach Center Coordinator at HVCC and is in constant contact with student veterans as well as veterans around the counties. After being stationed in Camp Lejeune from 2013 to 2017, Dan deployed to Bagram, Afghanistan as a joint fires observer with 2D Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company. In 2018, he deployed to Okinawa with 3rd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, and he finished deploying in 2020 with 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, Fox Company in Camp Shurab, Afghanistan, as the company Joint Terminal Attack Controller. After rotating out of Afghanistan, he transferred to the Baghdad Embassy compound in Iraq to serve as the resident JTAC. Dan relocated back to the Capital District in January of 2021 after being honorably discharged as a sergeant after 8 faithful years of service. And now, Mr. Wargo to say a few words. Congratulations.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Murphy, thank you. Mr. Ford, thank you as well. Members of North Colony Board, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for this nomination. I really appreciate it, even though sometimes I feel like I'm not really doing that much. As I say to my wife all the time, that I don't feel like I'm working, helping out veterans at Hudson Valley as well as Rensselaer County. But before I dive into that, I want to say thank you to my mom, first and foremost, Judy Wargo, for keeping me in North Colony Central School Districts all the way through. And of course, if that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have met my wife. Actually, just up these stairs, we had lab together. And unfortunately, I didn't talk to her at the time. She tried to talk to me, but I kind of brushed it off and was kind of scared at the moment because like this is the first time a girl's actually talking to me. So I digressed for that. But I really want to say thank you to my wife, Ashley, for sticking around for now 10 years. We'll be 7 years married in July. For the ups and downs from, long deployments and transitioning from North Carolina to California, and now picking up the pieces as I transition back to civilian life. So I want to just continue to help veterans across the area that suffering from PTSD, because I am suffering from PTSD right now. So just trying to pick up the pieces and make sure that, it's not a very hard transition. There's somebody there. I'm helping everybody out that I can with transitioning from the military to getting benefits at school. Also just trying to help them with jobs and getting back into society and making sure that although you may have some invisible wounds, you're not broken, you're fine. Everybody will just let it go and everybody will be good. So I want to say thank you to everybody for showing up. I appreciate it.
We just want to thank everyone again for coming tonight. Thank you to all of our inductees for being such amazing people and doing great things out in the community. And we were so grateful to have you here tonight.
Yes, congratulations to all of our inductees. We are very lucky to have you as a part of the Shaker community. And thank you to everyone for coming and to everyone who helped make this event happen. And we hope that you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much.